Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rock and roll here this afternoon. An amazing show, an amazing race about to get underway as we are live from the beautiful Talladega Superspeedway. It's Talladega, baby, here in this one for the always amazing Outcast Racing League as our first race of the playoffs is about to get underway. So our first playoff race is about to get underway here this evening, which is going to be a very, very hit or miss race. Now, we always got to take into consideration the big one. When do we see it? When does it happen? Is it going to happen? We know it's probably going to happen at some point or time here this afternoon, and when it does, if you're one of those playoff drivers, you either want to be way in front of it or you want to be way back there behind it, so that way you can avoid being tied up into it and you don't have to worry about getting into a lot of that damage. Now, talking about our playoffs, let's take a look right here at our Outcast Racing League Shenco Custom Diecasts Williamsburg Contracting playoff bracket right here. So you see those 16 names over there on the left-hand side. I do believe that is the round of 16, where 16 of these drivers have made it into our Outcast Racing League playoffs. We'll be able to see them with the yellow banners and stuff on their race cars here this afternoon. Now, they're all going to be fighting to try to move forward a couple spots here and hope to lock themselves into the round of 12 to move into that round of 8 and then battle in that round of 8 race for our championship. As we get all these drivers ready to rock and roll, we get ready to set these drivers loose. It's going to be a very, very interesting race. It's going to be very back and forth. We're going to see a lot of passes, a lot of drivers coming forward, a lot of drivers going back, and it's going to be interesting to see who's going to put themselves into a winning position here today. It's my boy, James Garland. James coming in, showing the love here in this one as qualifying has come to a close, and that means we will get ready to go here. Our feature event about to get underway, and Marie Davis also coming in with that like on the stream. How are you, Anne Marie? How are you, James? Hopefully you guys are having yourselves a wonderful day as we get ready to play here in this one. This is going to be a heck of a show, heck of a race here this afternoon as we'll get look at these drivers for 90 laps, binding a little bit of NASCAR overtime, which is always a possibility here at any of these racetracks. And the guy that's normally at the front of the field here, somehow Wayne Garland, is probably one of the best qualifiers here on the super speedways that we've seen in many years here. Somehow or another, he can continue to find some crazy good runs, some crazy good laps, and keep on putting himself on the top of the speed chart. So as we get ready to go through our starting grid, it is Wayne Garland in the Poor Boy Motorsports, the Captain Morgan's number 84 machine, who will start here in that pole position to his outside. That is the 81, the Poor Boy Motorsports PeaceMaker Gaming Williamsburg Contracting number 81 of Anthony Garland. Starting in position number 3 in the Christmas, the Grinch and Santa Claus there on that car, the Williamsburg Contracting Shenco Custom Diecast 00. It's Colton Manage who will start in that 3rd position to his outside. In the Lawrence Tech Williamsburg Contracting number 70 ride, it's Mike Killingbeck. Starting in position number 5 in the number 12 ride, it is Josh Bromfield in that number 12 machine to his outside. In the Overton 76, that's Caleb McKinney. Starting in position number 7 in the 13, it's the Texaco Halvoline number 13. That is James Garland. To his outside in the Quantum Motorsports number 60, it's Johnny Thunders. Starting in position number 9 in the 19, that is the beautiful Reese's machine. That is the 19 of Dom Salvo, as Salvo will start there in the 9th spot to his outside in the 28 ride. That is Kevin Kazar, rounding out our top 10. Then we see Chris Muse, Brandon Puffenbarger, the 77 of Casey Gross, the number 14 of Billy Jordan, the 31 of actually the 02 ride of Chad Lancaster. Then we see Adolfo Castillo, David Duran Jr., Corey Crowell there in the 20 ride. Austin Smith back there in the WeatherTech number 23. And then we see the 8 of Lancaster back here as well. That is Lance Brantlinger, sorry. Cameron Combs there as well as James Garland. Anthony Garland. Oh my god, this is all broken up. I don't know what's going on here. I think you do a huge restart here on iRacing, and I think it's messed with my my settings here, chat. Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second. This should be showing all of these cars. Draw min cars, no. Draw all cars. Max cars. 40. Done. Okay. Alright, that should be good. We should be good now with everyone in here. Okay, that does look better. We do see the rest of the field. There's Lance Brantlinger, Al Reed, Joshua Neal, Kurt Sponsler, Brian Woodard, Robert Tuiscu, James Woodard, Gary Wright bringing up the rear of the field here in this one as we are quickly green flag racing here from Talladega Superspeedway. As out in front, quickest in qualifying, it's the 84 of Wayne Garland, who will get a good jump here to his back bumper to start this race. And he is going to be pushed out in front. He'll lead us down the back straightaway, the outside lane, trying to get rolling here as Anthony Garland leading the outside groove, getting a big shove by that 70 ride of Mike Killingbeck. Now you see the 00. He's going to jump up to the outside lane. It's Colton Manich looking for the early race lead. Down low, here comes a little bit of help. The Poor Boy Motorsports rides hooked up down low on the bottom side of the speedways. Anthony Garland gets pushed up to the third line here, and he's unfortunately going to fall backwards as door to door down through the tri-oval. Colton Manich, Wayne Garland 1 and 2 on the speedway, and the 00 of Colton Manich will lead lap number 1 here this afternoon from Talladega Superspeedway. Right there behind him, though, Wayne Garland going to stay on his back bumper. We'll have to wait and see if Wayne decides to make a move and try to jump around the racetrack as everyone's shuffling around down out at quarter number 2. You do see the 60 right at Johnny Thunders get shoved up into the outside lane here, and unfortunately for Johnny, he's going to fall back here quite a bit. So the Shenco custom diecast Quantum Motorsports ride going to slide all the way back into about the 14th position before getting picked up by the 02 of Chad Lancaster in that Land N Sea NSB 02 machine. Corey Crowell right there behind him in that 20 ride. Going to see Corey out there on the speedway rolling on the racetrack. You'll see James Garland out there as well as the Misfits Outcast Racing League Texaco ride, trying to work himself up and through the field after taking an EOL to start this race. Austin Smith there on the 18th spot. Then we see Brandon Puffenbarger and Lance Brantlinger right there as well. Brantlinger, after locking himself into the playoffs and earning that win at Darlington last Sunday, he's looking to try to back that up. Now we saw him pick up a big super speedway win to pick up the championship last season, and now in the playoffs here once again this year, looking to go back to back for these championships. We'll have to wait and see if Brantlinger can find his way up towards the front of the field as Mike Killingbeck now going to try to take this race lead away. He's got the 76 ride of Caleb McKinney right there with him. McKinney down low, but the 70 ride getting a great shove here from Dom Salvo. Is Salvo going to try to push him to the front of the field, and it is Mike Killingbeck who will lead that lap. Here comes that 51 of David Duran Jr. though, the Valvoline Dr. Pepper number 51 machine looking fresh out there on the speedway, trying to get that third lane rolling, trying to get that third lane up to the front of the field as we get a little three-wide battle here at the front of the pack. And look at all these drivers slowing down the back straightaway here at Talladega Superspeedway. Already a very exciting race, already some pretty crazy action all around the racetrack. We're watching these drivers battle back and forth out there on the speedway. Everyone doing a fantastic job so far, keeping it clean and green, seeing nothing but good green flag laps here to start this race, as we're going to look for our first stage break at lap number 20 in lap number 40 here this afternoon. So a couple different stages to really break things up, and that could make for a bit of a difference here on what these drivers are going to be doing when it comes to strategy games. This is a big enough racetrack where a couple laps before that stage comes to a close, if you're not in an area to pick up those stage points, maybe head down pit side, get some fuel, try to use that to your advantage in the next stage and try to leapfrog some of these drivers. But I do believe the fuel is going to be very, very tight here. Oh, contact! Look out! The 19 right up into the outside fence. Adolfo Castillo's collected in it. The 51 of David Duran Jr. right there as well, and same with Chris Muse. Some of our playoff drivers, you can see that rear toe length busted here for the 51 ride, and that is some extensive damage. Dom Slavo, unfortunately, going around here into quarter number 3, and we see our first yellow flag of the day. Contact here between Killingbeck and that number 19 ride. Let's take a look and see if we can get another perspective at it as the 19 is rolling the outside lane here, jumps down to the middle, but a big run coming for the 70 ride. And right there, you can see the 19 as he comes down in front of the 70. I don't think he was expecting him to come with such a big run. Watch these two drivers right in the middle, and you see the 19, he kind of comes down, but then comes back up. He's kind of right in the middle of the lane. So even if the 70 ride could have gotten a good tag into the square, into the back bumper, I think things would have been fine, but you see the 19 go up the racetrack right there. Unfortunately, that just makes the 70 ride tag him in more of the left rear quarter panel, and the 19 comes down into the 31 of Adolfo Castillo, comes back up the racetrack right into the lap there with David Duran Jr. Killingbeck getting a little bit of damage in there, but you do see Adolfo into the fence. You see the 99 ride getting tied up into this one. A couple big hits there for David Duran Jr. in that outside fence, and unfortunately a lot of drivers getting tied up right there in that one. You see it, 19 continues to slide backwards down through corner 3 and 4, and quite impressively that he goes that far down the racetrack without washing down, but a good piece of driving. Unfortunately, he's going to take that car off the speedway here, so a tough prank for Dom Slavo as he's going to take it down pit side. So doesn't David Duran Jr. They're both actually going to tow their rides back down pit road, so this is going to make things very, very interesting here throughout the rest of this race to see where drivers are going to be here, as we do see a few drivers electing to stay out here and not come down pit side. Kevin Kazar, Casey Gross, Chris Muse, even after getting the contact, stays out, and Billy Jordan also staying out here on the speedway, where we do see pretty much everybody else come down pit side, getting some fuel, probably not getting any tires, but definitely getting some fuel into their rides here this afternoon, as we'll get ready to rock and roll. Shenco Custom Designs share the race. Let's go, baby. Shenco coming in, showing the love here in this one. And Marie Davis says, let's go. James Garland cheered on James out there on the speedway so far. James has been looking pretty good. He's been looking pretty fresh out there on the speedway, and so far some pretty good fun, some pretty good racing out here for the Outcast Racing League in their first playoff race of the season. So it's been pretty exciting. It's been pretty interesting watching, seeing what these drivers can do, where they're navigating, where they're driving to, where they're trying to line up with teammates and everything else. As my boy Kurt Sponsler says, number 49 is running Todd Cooper landscaping paint scheme in celebration of Todd Cooper's birthday today. Happy birthday, Todd. Yo, let's go. But Todd, happy birthday, Todd. If you're watching, happy mother fluffing birthday. I hope you have yourself a wonderful day, and we love to see that Kurt Sponsler showcasing that ride here this afternoon for your birthday. Let's see if we can get a good look at it here. Where is Mr. Sponsler out there on the racetrack? Let's get a good look in here at this beautiful looking ride. There we go, the Todd Cooper landscaping PeaceMaker Gaming number 49 ride here this afternoon, looking very, very fresh out there on the speedway. And a huge shout out there to Todd Cooper, turning young 25 years old today. I actually don't know how old he is, but happy birthday there to Todd, and a huge thank you for Mr. Sponsler coming in, giving us the update on that and the reasoning behind the new paint scheme and the Todd Cooper landscaping number 49 machine here this afternoon. As we'll get all these drivers stacked up, racked up, and ready to go back to battle. It is the 28 of Kevin Kazar who leads the way. Kazar out in front, Casey Gross there in second. Chris Muse in that third spot. Doesn't look like too much damage there to that fast track number 99 ride, so he elects to stay out on the speedway and see what he can do here on the restart, but he is trying to save as much fuel as possible. I think a lot of these drivers are trying to save that fuel, as the Oracle number 14 of Billy Jordan to his outside. The top 4 drivers did not come down pit road and get fuel there during that caution break. Everybody else has made their way down pit side, and unfortunately for David Duran Jr. and Dom Slavo, I do believe they are both scored a lap down now on the speedway. Al Reed did come back down pit lane, got an extra little bit of fuel into the 3 machine, trying to make sure he can make it all the way to the end here this afternoon. So he will start at the back of the pack as Kevin Kazar, our race leader, going to get ready for a big restart here as we storm down the back straight away. Everyone's going to get into line. Everyone's going to get stacked up in elbows up racing, about to get back underway here this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys are just tuning in and you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button as we get ready to go back to green flag racing here from the beautiful Talladega Superspeedway. Here with the Outcast Racing League, powered by Williamsburg Contracting, Shenco Custom Diecast, Land N Sea NSB, in the RT3 Designs LLC group here this afternoon, as we'll get them all ready to rock and roll. The pace car will get ready to head down pit side as he makes the little bit of a pull down onto the apron, and he will pull down into pit lane, and that will unleash this field here to Kevin Kazar. Now Kazar does get to fire here anytime that the pace car is off of the speedway, so he can fire a little bit earlier than that Geico restart zone, or he can wait a little bit later. He can try to play with these drivers and kind of keep them on their toes until right there gets a great launch. Now the only thing is with this being a super speedway, the draft being so important, even getting a great launch and getting a great run out of the get-go, if you don't really have teammates or anything back there behind you, that you could open up this pretty big gap where a lot of these drivers back behind you are building up the speed, building up the momentum, and having the drafting partners before they get to your back bumper. Now they can make a hard left-hand turn, right-hand turn, and get around you and kind of leave you high and drawing. This time, though, it does look like the Quantum Motorsports number 77 rider, Casey Gross, is going to stick with them, staying on the back bumper there of the 28 ride as Billy Jordan up into third now as the 99 of Chris Muse sliding backwards as he gets shuffled into the outside lane. He's waiting, hoping for a dancing partner here, and finally finds the 84 of Wayne Garland. So Wayne will get to his back bumper, but right there to their inside, look at Austin Smith. Smith already up inside the top 10 here on the speedway, up 10 positions. Same with Billy Jordan and Casey Gross, but they use pit strategy here to get them up there. Austin Smith has been racing his way up towards the front of the field. Now this is a super speedway style of a race, so you can lose a lot of spots in a quick hurry, but you can also gain a lot of spots in a quick hurry. Now this big strategy game is going to be, where do you want to be out there on the racetrack? Where do you want to try to protect yourself, protect your car? Now, you want to earn those stage points. You want to be in contention to earn some stage points, extra bonus points here towards our playoffs, but it's a little bit of risk and reward out there. If you try to push yourself towards the front of the field and you get tied up in a big wreck, you could be down pit side for an extended period of time, and you could end up being multiple laps down and in a position to never get those laps back. So you might want to just try to play it safe. Some drivers will try to play it safe and be at the front of the field. Other drivers will try to play it safe and be at the back of the pack here and just kind of cruise around and keep themselves out of trouble. You see that with the 82 ride here of Joshua Neal, James Woodard back there as well in the 029. See Gary Wright, Al Reed, Brian Woodard right there as well in the 62 ride. These drivers haven't really pushed their way towards the front of the field. Same with Kurt Sponsler, Robert Tuiscu, Cameron Combs have all kind of been back here. A lot of these ESR rides haven't really pushed their way to the front of the field here. You do see Al Reed trying to start to work his way up there, but right now a lot of different strategy being played. Do you try to be aggressive? Do you try to get up here and battle for stage points and put yourself into a position where you can get tied up in the big one here at Talladega? Or do you try to take a back seat, make sure you got a car and save it to the end of this race and then make some moves and not get tied tied up in anything early in this one. As out in front, it is Kevin Kazar. Kazar leads the way here in this one. The 28 ride at the front of the field. He's got Casey Gross right there on his back bumper. Billy Jordan there in third. Caleb McKinney there in position number 4. Now he's going to go from the inside lane. He's going to jump up to the outside groove right in front of James Garland in that 70 ride of Mike Killingbeck. Now that's going to leave the inside lane open. Now here comes Josh Bromfield trying to inch his way closer to the front of the field, and he'll gladly slide up a couple spots here and reel in the back bumper of the 14 of Billy Jordan. But the outside lane starting to make some headway here. Here's a big push. James Garland all over the back bumper here of Caleb McKinney. McKinney getting pushed basically to the front of the field right now as the 13 still on the back bumper of the 76, and that will push Caleb McKinney right to the front of the field. Man, what a run right there. Down the front straightaway, down through 3 and 4 in the 13 ride of James Garland still glued to his back bumper. Now these three, him and Killingbeck, all of them starting to build a bit of a gap between themselves and the rest of the field here. You can imagine that 13 ride might start overheat here, being glued to the back bumper of the 76 ride for a little too long. Now he's looking to the outside, looking to try to dump some air into that grill, try to cool this thing down just ever so slightly. That will slow that top 3 down. Now here comes the 28 of Kevin Kazar and Casey Gross, the 14 of Billy Jordan. Maybe they'll try to make a move and slide around these guys once again, as here comes the 00 ride. Colton Manich right there. Josh Bromfield, Adolfo Castillo back inside the top 10 after getting collected in that first caution flag. The 02 of Chad Lancaster right there as well, as you see these drivers shuffling down the back straightaway. 2, 3, 1 here, battling deeper in the field, and everyone trying to put themselves into a good position on the speedway. Talk about a good position. We look back here at a couple of those drivers that were collected in that first caution flag. The 51 ride of David Duran Jr. now being scored as the first driver 1 lap down here on the speedway. And Dom Slavo just a little farther back there. Salvo back in position number 28. He's got a car between himself and that 51 ride. Basically the battle there for that free pass position at the end of the stage is right there between the two of them. David Duran Jr., Dom Salvo trying to pick up that free pass, trying to get back onto the lead lap and back into contention here this afternoon, but they're right in close contention. Is some contact, look out! Oh, that's the 00 ride going around in another caution flag, another big wreck here down the back straightaway. And we saw it. It looked like Anthony Garland up on the outside fence. The 49 ride of, actually no, the 28 of Kevin Kazar, I do believe, was right there. And I do believe Kazar going up and over the nose here of this 81 of Anthony Garland. Watch that 28 ride right here. Garland gets a good run to the outside here, trying to go 3-4 wide. I don't think Kazar realized that and didn't have the 81 ride clear. He's going to move up the racetrack and unfortunately gets to the over the nose of the 81. Nowhere to go for Anthony as he's still getting pushed by the 99 ride. And that's put Kazar into the fence. He comes down the racetrack, makes contact here with his teammate and Colton Manich. And now Manich going around here. He's going to hit the 84 of Wayne Garland. Garland's going to come down the racetrack into Adolfo Castillo. See Robert Tuwiscu into the outside fence here. You see the 31 and the 28 going to make more contact. Chris Muse going to slam into the side of the 84 ride of Wayne Garland. And you see Al Reed also getting some good contact right there into Adolfo Castillo. And a lot of drivers actually getting tied up here in this one. A lot of beating and banging, a lot of battling. Unfortunately, this is Talladega. This is Super Speedway Racing. You see more contact there for the 31 ride as he gets into that 28 machine again there. This is how quickly things happen here. We'll go under full speed here and show you guys how quickly things happen here at Talladega Superspeedway. And you could be not even in contention or anywhere near this and fortunately end up with a pretty tore up race car out there on the speedway. And a couple of our playoff drivers getting collected in that one. Definitely not the way they wanted things to go here, as you do see Adolfo down pit side here. Colton Manich having to take his car down pit side to get some repairs. David Duran Jr., he loved to see that, as he should be in that free pass position and trying to get himself back onto the lead lap. I do believe now Adolfo is going to go a lap down after towing his car down pit lane. Kevin Kazar down pit road, gonna look for some repairs. Same with Robert Tuwiscu in the 6 machine. And A lot of drivers running into issues already here in this race. As out in front, it is the 77 ride of Casey Gross. Gross leading the way here in this one. And the laps are counting down to finish off stage number 1 here this afternoon. Now, these stage points, they do help you out throughout the playoffs. Now, earning those stage points, earning a bunch of extra points here going into this first round could be a huge break for a lot of these drivers. Now, we've already seen some of our playoff contenders run into issues here and having those issues. But now we have one of our playoff drivers at the front of the field looking to try to earn the maximum stage points here. We're getting those 10 points, using those into his back pocket, and also getting the bonus point to go forward here throughout the playoffs as well. So having those extra points could play a major factor here for Casey Gross and his ability to try to pick up the championship here this afternoon, or this year, as he's looking for the race win, looking for a big run here in this one, as he's strolling back here in position number 1. Mike Killingback right there with him. Then we see James Garland in position number 3. Caleb McKinney, they are in 4th with Billy Jordan, our top 5 here on the Speedway. Josh Bromfield, Chad Lancaster, Anthony Garland, Johnny Thunders, Chris Muse, our top 10 here on the Speedway. Now, Muse does have quite a bit of front end damage, but I think Muse is just trying to play this one out till maybe the end of the stage, or try to limp this car around till later in the race, not wanting to use up one of these quick repairs, and obviously trying to earn those extra stage points right now for the 99 ride, as the stage points could play a major factor. Even if you earn some good stage points here throughout the evening, if you can earn those stage points, put those into your back pocket, you get tied up into something late in this race, you get a suboptimal finish here in the race, at least you can use those bonus points that you earn throughout the stages as a bit of a fallback to really kind of balance out the day, to really make things more even there. If some of the drivers that don't earn the stage points end up earning a good finish, and you end up towards the back of the field, it can kind of balance itself out and take a bad day and at least turn it to a little bit of a mediocre day. But if you can finish off the race and earn quite a bit of stage points, it can take a good day and turn it even better. So I think that's what's going through the mind here of a lot of these drivers, are trying to make sure they earn themselves that extra little bit here in this race. And we're going to get a short run to finish off stage number 1. Can Casey Gross pick up the first stage win of our Shenco Custom Diecast Williamsburg Contracting Outcast Racing League playoffs here at Talladega Superspeedway? We're about to find out, as we're going to go back to green flag racing with lap number 19 going up onto the board. So I do believe this is going to be a virtual 2-lap shootout to finish off the stage, as it will come out. The caution flag will automatically come out at the end of stage number at the end of lap number 20. Here is Disney Cars Racing Productions says hi. Hey, what's good? How are you, Disney Cars? How are you, Disney Cars Racing? I'm assuming you want to say Productions, but Productions, Deductions. It's a tough one right there. But Disney, how are you? Coming in, showing the love, says hi here in this one. How are you? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful day as we get ready to go back to battle here at Talladega Superspeedway. Casey Gross out in front. The 70 ride of Mike Killingback there to his outside. James Garland in the 76 of Caleb McKinney, our top 4 here on the Speedway, followed by Billy Jordan, Josh Bromfield, Chad Lancaster, Anthony Garland, Johnny Thunders, and Chris Muse, our top 10 here on the racetrack. Now you see that outside lane a little bit more formed up here on this restart, as Casey Gross looking to try to get a good start there. Mike Killingback sticking right there with him, door to door, down across the line here. So Casey Gross and Killingback door to door, but you see that outside lane already pushing and shoving, already locked together, and that's going to look to push the 70 ride of Killingback to our race lead. And here comes that inside lane, and already looks like a few drivers trying to work themselves to that third lane here. Going to make it 3 wide, as now you do see the 13 machine of James Garland. He's going to lead that 77 high in, drawing down there on the inside. Unfortunately here for Casey Gross, he's dropping like a rock and getting no help here to his back bumper, and that is not a good place to be if you're Casey Gross there on the Speedway. As down out of corner number 4, we will drag race back to the start-finish line. Caleb McKinney going to get a good shove there by Josh Bromfield, and that is going to put the 76 of Caleb McKinney out in front. His lap number 20 is going to get started, so we're going to get one more lap around here before we see the end of stage number 1 this afternoon. Can Caleb McKinney cash in and pick up the first stage win of the afternoon? Here comes Casey Gross. He's going to try the middle groove here down the back straightaway, trying to find some way up here into battle for one of our stage wins here this afternoon. James Garland going to slide up in front of him. Casey going to try to go even higher, though, to the outside lane, looking for some push and help, looking for a bit of a run down here through corner number 3 and out of 4. The 76, no push and help. Here comes James Garland. Garland getting shoved by the 77 ride, but here comes Al Reed and his teammates in the ESR crew. They're on the very outside, door to door, down across the line, 3 wide at the line, and I'm not even sure who picked up stage win number 1 on the afternoon. Stage 1, a photo finish here in this one. Wowzers. What a finish here to finish off this first stage, and I do believe it's James Garland picking up the stage win. James Garland out in front. He will get the stage win here this afternoon. Al Reed there in position number 3, as Casey Gross going to make it that much tighter and comes home in position number 2 here to finish off this stage. Is right there. There you go. There's our finish. Inches, man. Inches between Casey Gross and James Garland. The first stage win here this afternoon. It doesn't get any closer than that, ladies and gentlemen. To finish off this stage, look at how close these two are, and look at the ESR crew making their way up late in this stage. We talked about them hanging out deeper in the field, but wanting to earn those stage points, and right there you see all 3 of them in the outside groove and pushing Al Reed to almost a stage win, but they're going to come home in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th position here to finish off stage number 1. Heck of a run there at the end for the Elite Sim Racing teammates there. Getting up there as you see the Quantum Motorsports ride of Casey Gross going to come home in 2nd, and that 13 ride of James Garland picking up that stage win, man, is absolutely amazing to see. It's absolutely awesome to watch these drivers duke it out as we'll get everyone stacked up, ranked up, ready to go back to green flag racing. We'll figure out where everyone needs to be, where everyone needs to go. Now, this kind of has the scoring messed up here. So, when the caution flag was thrown across the line, it was a different outcome here. But when the caution flag was thrown, 20 feet farther down the roadway, it was Al Reed who was actually out in front when the caution flag came out. So iRacing will automatically put the 3 right into the number 1 spot, but Al Reed did not pick up that stage win. The stage win was actually James Garland in this 13 machine, as the Outcast Racing League Misfits Camry picking up that beautiful, beautiful win just by a couple inches here. And that was a heck of a run, heck of a show right there, heck of a race right back down to the start-finish line here this evening. And we'll get ready to pull in our Stage 1 winner here. Let's see if we can get Mr. Garland up and in here. Let me see if we can get him in here. There is James Garland. I'm trying to find him here, chat. There he is. I found him. I found it in him. I found it in him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our Stage 1 winner here this afternoon from Talladega Superspeedway. It's James Garland. Let's pull him up here into the broadcast booth. Hey, James, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker Broadcasting booth. They get a copy?
I do.
James, man, what a run, what a race there down to the start-finish line, and you're able to inch out in front down across the line. You were the first driver across the line there to finish off stage number 1. James, take us through this one. How do you feel after being able to pick up that close finish in that first stage win of our Outcast Racing League playoffs?
Man, I'm speechless. I didn't even realize that I got the win. The stage win until everybody started congratulating me over radio. Um, it's just the car's been feeling really good all day, so I'm hoping that I can stay up front and just keep it in clean air and hopefully bring this car to victory lane. But we'll see how it happens for the rest of the race. But I mean, I'm loving the way the car is today.
Yeah, absolutely. Car has looked very, very fast, very, very good out there on the speedway. We've seen you pushing and shoving some drivers, and it seems like you're finding a lot of speed underneath the hood of that 13 ride. And right there at the end, even with a little bit of no push and help, the Elite Sim Racing rides were storming to your outside lane. You had Casey Gross leave you high and dry and take that run down to the inside, and somehow or another, you're still able to keep your foot in the throttle and take that stage 1 win here and set yourself up for what could be a very big day to start off our Outcast Racing playoffs here in this season. And so far, so far so good. Haven't been collected at anything, man. We're going to be looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack and continuing to try to pick up some good finishes here in stage number 2 and to finish off this race in potentially victory lane.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully I'll see you in victory lane.
Absolutely, brother. Well, good luck out there. Have fun and be safe, as you never know when that big one may strike out there on the speedway.
All right, thank you, Aaron.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for James Garland, our Stage 1 winner here this afternoon. Stage 1 going to the 13 of Mr. Garland here this evening as we'll get ready for our second stage here this evening. Stage number 2 will come to a close on lap number 40. So lap number 40, the completion of lap number 40 is when we will see this stage come to an end, as right now we do have Anthony Garland and Cameron Combs 1 and 2 on the speedway. Chad Lancaster, Casey Gross there in row number 2. Then we see James Garland in the 49 of Kurt Sponsler. And then we see Caleb McKinney, Lance Brantlinger, Chris Muse, and Kevin Kazar, our top 10, getting ready to go back to green flag racing here this afternoon. We believe David Duran Jr. back on the lead lap, so you can throw his name back into the ring here. Unfortunately, though, for Adolfo Castillo, one of our playoff contenders here in the Quantum Motorsports Shenco Custom Diecast PeaceMaker Gaming number 31 ride. See that beautiful looking paint scheme here for Adolfo Castillo, as he unfortunately got tied up in that wreck, ended up with quite a bit of damage there on lap number 15-ish or so, and he's multiple laps down right now. He's going to need some quick caution flags and hopefully a couple lucky dogs and opportunities for him to get back onto this lead lap here this evening, or he may be trapped there a few laps down as we get ready to go back to green flag racing as stage number 2 underway here from beautiful Talladega Superspeedway. Anthony Garland, Casey Gross inside lane, getting the jump quickly here in this one as Cameron Combs rolls the outside lane, getting no help so far from Chad Lancaster. Lancaster trying to stay there on his back bumper as the Quantum Motorsports land N Sea NSB 02 ride right there in position number 4 and looking for more here, but here comes lap 13. We just talked to James Garland about how good that car has been so far this evening, and here he is right already pushing that 77 ride of Casey Gross and the 81 ride of Anthony Garland down there on the inside lane, trying to keep on working his way maybe back to the front of the field. As now you do see the 81 go down onto the apron there, a tough shove from that 77 ride. Unfortunately, that shoves Anthony Garland down the racetrack and moves Anthony all the way back here. Quite a few spots on the speedway. This is a tough break there for Anthony Garland. I actually don't even see where the heck he's ended up now. He's fallen farther and farther back, all the way back now into the 25th position. So the poor boy Motorsports Ryan goes from leading this restart to all of a sudden deep in the field and at the back of his lead pack. here this afternoon. So a tough break there for the 81 machine, as maybe he just saw something brewing here towards the front of the field, decided not be a part of it, and decided to try to dive out of that one. As some 3 wide racing here at the front of the field, 3 wide battling, as out in front you do see that 23. It's Austin Smith now to the point. So Smith out in front, Corey Crowell right there pushing him to the front of the field. Brandon Puffenbarger right there with them. And here comes that 00 Colt man. She's going to hitch a run with those 3 right towards the front of the field as that outside lane working to perfection here this afternoon. Some great racing, some great battles all around the Speedway. Everybody trying to work their way and manage their way up to the front of the pack here. You see the 84 ride of Wayne Garland just getting up, scrubbing the outside fence right there. He's going to lose a couple spots down the back straightaway here in this one, as some great racing here. The Outcast Racing League, the Williamsburg Contracting, Shenco Custom Diecast, N Sea NSB, and the RT3 Designs team here this afternoon, man. Everybody doing a great job coming together, making this season possible, and putting on some absolutely amazing racing week after week after week. As Corey Crowell and the 23 Austin Smith leading their respective lines out here on the Speedway 1 and 2 out there on the racetrack, and they're looking to try to pick up stage win number 2 here on the night. So they're trying to pick up those big stage wins, but right there behind him you do see that 31 ride. He's shown quite a bit of speed here as well, the Quantum Motorsports number 31 of Adolfo Castillo. Unfortunately, we were just talking about him being multiple laps down here on the racetrack, but here he is up at the front of the field, and this 31 showing some speed. If you can try to get to the front of the pack and lead the way before a caution flag is thrown, he can actually earn himself another lap, and being the only driver, I do believe, a lap down out here on the Speedway, as James Woodard and Brian Woodard both back here a little deeper in the field. Now they've lost the draft here with everybody else, but they are not a lap down. Adolfo is the only driver currently a lap down here on the Speedway. So if he can get a little lucky here, maybe try to work himself to the front of the pack, is, oh, there's a heavy hit back there behind him. The 28 rider Kevin Kazar hard into the outside fence. Heavy damage here for the Williamsburg Contracting Shenco Custom Diecast 28 rider Kevin Kazar head on into the outside fence, and another caution flag here in this one. Watch the 84 ride. Wayne Garland already sideways here. Looks like maybe a bad shove coming out of that 13 ride. He's going to get into the back end of the 12. That's going to stack him up here on the outside lane. You see the 13 comes in there, not realizing that they were kind of getting log jammed right there. Gets a piece of that 84 ride, spins him sideways down the racetrack, and fortunately right into that right rear quarter panel of that 28 ride. James Garland nowhere to go. He's going to get quite a bit of damage into this one, as well as he's going to push that 28 down the back straightaway here. He's going to get into the outside fence ever so slightly there, but man, that was one heck of a hit for Kevin Kazar here coming out of corner number 2. There's really nothing he could do except for hang on and hope for the best, and unfortunately did not get it here in this one. Let's take a ride on board with them, as there's the contact and there's the hit into the wall, man. That is a tough hit right there. You can hear that motor actually drop out of it right there. That's some heavy damage for the 28 machine, and that may have Kevin Kazar down pit side for an extended period of time here in this one. As man, this is a big hit, big hit here. See if we can get another look at it here. Let's get another look, another chase look at this 28 ride as they head down across the start finish line here at Talladega Superspeedway. They head down into corner number 1. Everything's looking good, everything's running good. And all of a sudden the outside lane kind of gets stacked up ever so slightly right there. And the contact, here comes the 84 down the racetrack and hard into that 28. Looks like Mike Killingbank going to get a little damage into that. The 84 Wayne Garland and the 13 of James Garland all going to get a bit of contact there into that one, but no one getting the worst end of it than the 28 of Kevin Kazar here this afternoon, man. That's a Tough hit, a tough break, and you see a lot of these drivers head down pit side, looking to get some repairs, looking to get some fuel, looking to try to keep their day alive here this afternoon as we inch closer and closer to the end of stage number 2 here this afternoon as we'll get them all stacked up, ranked up, and ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. We'll get a quick word in here from our sponsors over at N Sea NSB. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing here in this one as stage number 2. Slowly but surely coming to a close here in this one. Drivers getting ready to go back to battle. They head down through the Talladega Superspeedway, corner number 3, getting ready to go back to battle, getting ready to go back to war here in this one. A lot of fast cats, a lot of great drivers ready to duke it out here as stage number 2 quickly coming to a close here in this one. Only a few laps left to go. This is going to be a bit of another short run, not as short as what stage number 1 was, but we're going to see about 7 laps, 8 laps here to finish off stage number 2 here this afternoon. Now, we will hand out another bonus point to the stage winner, but also all the extra drivers inside our top 10 will earn those stage points. So 10 points going to our stage 1 winner, all the way down to our 10th place finisher earning themselves 1 extra stage point. Now those points do go towards your playoffs and everything else here, so you want to try to earn as many stage points as you can. Try to help yourself out as you see this restart quickly. Already getting a great shove out to the front of the field is this number 20 rider, Corey Crowell, but quickly Brandon Puffenbarger going to work down low underneath of him here, and Puffenbarger looking to try to take that early race lead back away from this number 20 ride as these drivers battle door to door down the back straightaway. Everyone going up through the gears, starting to build up that momentum once again. Drivers shuffling around, trying to find some dancing partners, trying to find some help in their efforts to try to work themselves to the front of the field here, and starting to see some more of these ESR rides, the Elite Sim racing machines, getting lined up together on the racetrack. So each and every one of these drivers starting to work themselves a little closer there towards the front of the field. And one driver that definitely wanted to see that caution flag was Adolfo Castillo, as I do believe Adolfo has now worked himself back another lap here. So he was able to get that free pass, now finds himself still in the lucky dunk position, still the first car one lap down out there on the racetrack, but now I do believe only one lap down, so another caution flag. Maybe the stage break could put that 31 machine back onto the lead lap. Now Kevin Kazar in the 28 run, he also finds himself a lap down here on the speedway as well. He's actually multiple laps down here for Kevin Kazar, so I would keep an eye on that. He may be 2 laps down here in the 28 machine, but right now, good battle there. Some drivers trying to work themselves back onto the lead lap here on the speedway, as we see our front of the field a little bit more broken up, as I do believe we see another caution flag on the speedway. Yes, we do. Another caution flag coming out. Now, I'm not sure what this caution flag was for. Don't see anything here at the front of the field necessarily. Lights are on right here, so it must have been a little deeper in the pack here. Need some of these drivers that were in that second pack. Let's take a look here and see. I actually don't see where this caution flag comes out, chat. I don't see where the issue was. So green light, there's the yellow. Maybe some debris on the racetrack, or I'm not sure what the caution flag was for, but nonetheless we do see another yellow flag being displayed. So another caution flag out there on the racetrack, and that will make things a little bit more interesting here as we'll get them ready to go back to green flag racing. We'll get everyone stacked back up, racked back up, and ready to go back to battle here in this one. Now this is going to be another shorter run again to the end of this stage, so this is going to be another close finish, another tight race to finish off stage number 2 here this afternoon, as Corey Crowell, Brandon Puffenbarger, Dom Salvo, they're at the front of the field. They're in the top 3. Austin Smith, they're in 4th. Then we see Caleb McKinney rounding out our top 5. Chris Muse, Colton Manich, Al Reed, Josh Bromfield, and David Durain Jr. are top 10 here on the racetrack, and we are going to see more drivers start to head down pit side here. Here comes Wayne Garland. Here comes Anthony Garland. Cameron Combs also coming down pit side, same with Brian Woodard and James Woodard also making their way down pit side here as well. So definitely interesting watching some of these other drivers take some different pit strategies and using this caution break to what could be a huge strategy move here on the evening. Is out in front, Corey Crowell in the way here as we'll get him locked, stocked, and loaded and ready to go back to green flag racing. As these caution laps do count, they will continue to click off the laps, and that will inch us closer and closer to the end of round number 2 here this afternoon. So this could be a big break for some of these drivers up towards the front of the field. Less of an opportunity for them to be washed back deeper in the field, but also for some of the drivers deeper in the field to bring that intensity level back up once again. So the intensity going to build here as each and every one of these drivers is going to be looking to try to work themselves up towards the front, trying to earn themselves those stage points. Now not having as many laps to do so may make it that much more of a high pressure situation with that caution flag. Del Castellano is Castellano. There is one lap down. He was in that free pass position, so he should get that free pass in back on the lead lap. And then we only have one driver that would be still on the lead lap here this afternoon, and that would be Kevin Kazar. And Kazar could pick up that free pass at the end of stage number 2. So potentially we could start our third and final stage of this race with all 28 drivers on the lead lap. Now that could be absolutely massive here. These drivers, you see Kevin Kazar, he has already made his way down pit side here and made that pit stop. You'll see Adolfo Castillo right there as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see, where these drivers are going to go, where they're going to roll, and see who can try to put themselves into position to try to pick up this stage win here this afternoon.
someone, they go to the correct.
Alrighty, as we get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing here from Talladega Superspeedway. It is the 20 ride of Corey Crowell out in front, who continues to lead the way. So Crowell out in front, showing these drivers how to get it done and ready to rock and roll, ready to go to battle here in this one, as stage number 2 quickly coming to a close for each and every one of these competitors. Their time starting to run out. They gotta start to make some moves. They gotta try to work themselves here to the front of the field in a quick hurry if they want to earn those stage points. So the intensity building up down across the line. We'll see lap 38 go up onto the board. I do believe this will be a 3-lap shootout to finish lap number 40 here this afternoon. So it's going to be very fun to watch and see what these drivers are able to do. Who is going to be able to make the moves to put themselves into a position to potentially make some big gains here and put themselves what could be a huge stage win to earn themselves those extra points in their ability to maybe advance their way through the playoffs here this year. So those playoff drivers all looking to get as much as they can here in this one as quickly. See Parker working the outside lane, as I do believe this is the entire this is an entire crew right here, I do believe, out there on the racetrack. This is almost an entire crew. Just take the number 76 ride out of there in the 19 ride, but Corey Crowell, Austin Smith, Brandon Puffenbarger, all part of the Midwest Motorsports crew here, and they're running 1, 2, and 3 here on the Speedway. And you see Caleb McKinney and that 19 ride of Dom Salvo right there behind him in the Williamsburg Contracting. Number 19 ride is Salvo. They're in position number 5, and he's looking to go for a drive here. Unfortunately, blinking a little bit right there. That's going to get the 12 right a little bit bent out of shape, and unfortunately, as he's bent out of shape, that's going to kind of move him back a little bit here. Same with the 20 right, as here comes Lance Brantlinger. Brantlinger making some moves here. Look out. Brantlinger trying to work himself to the front of the field. The 8 ride, the Budweiser machine, coming out of nowhere. Now glued to the back bumper of the 5 of Brandon Puffenbarger, and trying to work himself back to the front of the field. As Brantlinger looking to try to work himself out in front, now getting surrounded by the Midwest Motorsports crew once again, as here comes Austin Smith to his outside, and out in front it's still Brandon Puffenbarger who leads the way. It's Puffenbarger out in front leading this race, showing that he's got the speed to maybe pick up the win, but that outside lane is moving and grooving. And look out, as Austin Smith gonna see some contact back there. Puffenbarger up into the outside fence. Heavy contact down across the line. Caution flag on the Speedway in the 5 right. Brandon Puffenbarger absolutely destroyed. Oh, brother, a huge hit right there for Brandon Puffenbarger, as he's going to tow that car down pit side, battling here at the front of the field. Now you're going to see everyone kind of shuffle around, trying to get to this stage end here, and unfortunately, he's going to kind of move down. The 8 ride stays in the middle, then the 5 ride, actually the 8 ride comes back down, and unfortunately tanks just in the wrong spot. Against that 5 ride, turned around up the racetrack. He goes heavy contact into that outside fence right there in the middle of the tri-oval, and everyone else trying to get through there. And for the most part, everyone does a great job except for his teammate Joshua Neal, who comes in and makes some more contact there with them. So that's a tough break right there, not only for the 5 of Brandon Puffenbarger, but if you take a look farther back here, the 62 ride, I do believe, or the 82 ride of Joshua Neal here is, oh man, his Midwest Motorsports teammate gonna slide in here and make some heavy contact with him here, is right there Tries to get down out of the way, unfortunately does not miss him, makes some heavy contact there, so a pair of those Midwest Motorsports rides going to get tore up there in that caution flag, and that's going to be a tough one as he's down pit side, was looking to try to maybe pick up a stage win, is out in front. The 23 ride, I do believe, will earn that stage win here this afternoon, so the 23 of Mr. Smith, Austin Smith, will pick up stage win number 2 here this afternoon. Keelan McKinney will be right there behind him. Then you see the 99 of Chris Muse, Al Reed, Josh Bromfield. A lot of these drivers up inside the top 10 here. And everybody else trying to make their way down pit side. Other drivers staying out, though. Al Reed going to stay out and go down across the line here. Bromfield right there, Kurt Sponsler, Robert Tuisco, Cameron Combs, Wayne Garland, Casey Gross, Johnny Thunders, Anthony Garland, all staying out here on the Speedway. The first driver back out onto the racetrack from that pit stop is the 19 ride of Dom Salvo. Is Salvo going to jump out there onto the Speedway, and he'll be scored in the 10th position, killing back there on 11th. Austin Smith, Bolton Manich, Caleb McKinney, and Lance Brantlinger are top 15 here in this one, but big hits already in this race. A couple drivers, unfortunately, having their days go astray here after what looked to be a good race for a few of them. Going the wrong way now out here on the Speedway. And Kevin Kazar, I do believe, going to get the free pass here again. We do see Chris Muse still down pit side, trying to get this number 99 ride fixed up. You do see Chad Lancaster. Looks like Lancaster at the rear of the field here as well, and potentially a lap or two down himself now. Puffenbarger still down pit side. Still a lap or so down, so a lot of different drivers running into issues here as you do see the 28 make his way into pit lane. Going to look to try to get this 28 ride some extra fuel and maybe some tires onto it as out in front, Al Reed in the RT3 Designs Elite Sim Racing. The ZZX Digital ride leads the way here in this one. Josh Bromfield there in second with Kurt Sponsler, Robert Tuiscu, and Cameron Combs are top 5 here on the Speedway. As we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and ready to go back to green flag racing here in just a couple more minutes. So already we've seen a few drivers and some of our playoff drivers run into issues here in this race. We've seen some of them unfortunately get tied up in other people's wrecks. We've seen them unfortunately get turned around, hard up into the outside fence, and fortunately for a few of them, man, probably already using those quick repairs and not having those in your back pocket for late in this race could be detrimental. You get tied up in one more incident, and that could unfortunately take you out of tonight's contention for a race win. So you either got to play it very, very safe. You got to play it close to your heart here and try not to make any mistakes out there on the Speedway. And that's the 51 ride, I believe, David Duran Jr. having to use his quick repair, and unfortunately, he's going to have to try to keep himself out of trouble. James Garland potentially may have used his. I don't think he did, but you know that a few of these other drivers have ran into those issues and have had to use potential quick repairs. The 19 ride is Salvo, maybe one of those. Mike Killing back as well in the 70 ride, potentially having to use those quick repairs up. Wayne Garland as well in the 84 ride, getting some damage throughout this race. Now, you may have used that quick repair, may not have, but we did know that the 28 of Kevin Kazar has used his. We saw the number 31 of Adolfo Castillo. He's used his quick repair up as well, and a few more of these drivers that are using those quick repairs. The 5 rider Brandon Puffenbarger now multiple laps down here and down on pit road. Not the way he wanted his playoffs to get started here this afternoon, but finds himself down pit side. There's that quick repair getting used. He's hoping to roll back out onto the Speedway here in a quick hurry, and there he is. He's going to put it back into gear and get on rolling here. Unfortunately, has lost a couple laps there being down pit side, but see if he can try to march his way back up, try to get some lucky dogs, some free passes, and more drivers that may run into issues, maybe more positions for him to gain throughout this race. As the lights are off, the official iRacing pace car, and that means we're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing here in this one. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our third and final stage of the day is about to get underway here from Talladega Superspeedway, and that means we're going to get ready for a quick PeaceMaker Gaming Crank It Up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers. We're going to crank it up here on PeaceMaker Gaming to start stage number 3. caution flag here on the Speedway. Gonna bring our bracket up to a close here this afternoon as we will take a look back and see what brings out the caution flag here in this one, as I do believe a couple of drivers going to come together. I believe Wayne Garland going to get tied up in this one. Let's take a look back and see what happens to the 84 Rhinus. Everything was kind of busted up here, a little bit of broken up out there on the Speedway. Drivers kind of all around. Unfortunately, 84 and the 19 coming together. Both drivers getting hard up into the outside fence right there. Heavy damage for the 84. Let's take another look at this one and see if we can get another angle at it, as the 84 sees the 19 come with a big run and unfortunately just comes up the racetrack. And not sure if there was a little net code there in that one or not, or what the issue may have been, but unfortunately you see the 19 come with the big head of steam, gonna drive to the outside of the 84. Looks like the 84 kind of coming up, trying to follow the line in front of them, and unfortunately just comes up a little bit too much, goes up over the nose of the 19 ride, and you watch Wayne Garland and Dom Salvo unfortunately hard up into the outside fence. Heavy damage there for both of those drivers as they keep on rolling out there on the Speedway. Looks like the 84 going to get locked up enough and washes down the racetrack. Luckily enough, no one else getting collected in that one. Everyone able to keep on rolling on past him there as the caution flag is displayed. And unfortunately, heavy damage for a couple of those drivers as they are both down pit side getting some repairs done to their rides here, trying to get these cars fixed back up and back out there onto the Speedway. Now, that caution flag definitely was a good break for a few of these other drivers that were a little deeper here on the field, hoping to try to use a little bit of pitch strategy, use a little bit of something here in their back pocket late in this race as everyone's starting to head down pit side. You see Al Reed going to stake out here as I don't even know who's still on the lead lap, who's not on the lead lap anymore, as a lot of drivers kind of broken up out there on the Speedway. A lot of different strategies being played here, and I do believe a few of these drivers are going to find themselves wrapped a lap down potentially out there on the racetrack. Now Bromfield still on the lead lap there in 12th. Wayne Garland, I believe, still on the lead lap here in the 21st position. Al Reed, I think, is a lap down here in 22nd. Lancaster, Adolfo Castillo, Robert Tuiscu, Kurt Sponsler, Tom Salvo, and Brandon Puffenbarger now all a lap down here as well, as you do see Puffenbarger rolling back out onto the racetrack. Salvo still down pit side here in this one, but some tough hits, some tough licks here for a lot of our drivers and a lot of our playoff contenders here this afternoon, really making these playoffs that much more treacherous here this afternoon. Let's take a look here once again at our top 16 that are a part of our playoffs here this year. So starting at the top spot here, it's Cameron Combs. So Combs in the playoffs here in the 15 ride, seen with David Duran Jr., Caleb McKinney, Al Reed, Colton Manich, Chris Muse, Casey Gross, Lance Brantlinger, Brandon Puffenbarger, Anthony Garland, Joshua Bromfield, Wayne Garland, Mike Killingbeck, Kurt Sponsler, Johnny Thunders, and Adolfo Castillo, all a part of our playoffs here in the Outcast Racing League. Shenco Custom Designs, Williamsburg Contracting, Land and Sea, and the RT3 Designs team here this afternoon as our first playoff race underway here for the round of 16. And already we've seen a few of our drivers run into issues. We saw Colton Manich run into an issue out there on the racetrack. Chris Muse got tied up in a couple things. David Duran Jr. right at the get-go got tied up in a big wreck, and we've seen unfortunate breaks now for Brandon Puffenbarger. We've seen some tough hits there for Wayne Garland, Mike Killingbeck. We saw Adolfo Castillo run into issues throughout this race. So a lot of our playoff drivers here at Talladega Superspeedway running into these issues, running into some problems, and that's not the way they want their playoffs to get started, as that's going to put them behind the ball quickly here in this one, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to green flag racing here this afternoon, as I do believe the 81 ride of Anthony Garland now scored his R race leader. Now you see a lot of these drivers that are in front of him looking for potentially wave rounds here. You do see Al Reed coming down pit side. I believe Al Reed's now back onto the lead lap here, but it's like Wayne Garland there as well. Chad Lancaster, I do believe, is trying to get the wave around. He is going to get one right there. Same with Adolfo Castillo and Robert Tuiscu. Kurt Sponsler, I do believe, also going to get the wave around. Brandon Puffenbarger, unfortunately, will not get the wave around. He will get lined up here, back deeper in the field. And Dom Salvo still down pit side, unfortunately, down pit road here in this one, in a tough spot for the number 19 machine, and him and Brandon Puffenbarger already running into big issues here in this race. And late in the race, it makes it that much tougher, that much more dangerous here for a lot of these competitors to try to work their way into a position where you can get a lap back, whether or not it's a lucky dog or trying to get those wave arounds and stuff. You really start to run out of time and running out of possibilities here to try to earn yourself those big momentum plays and trying to put yourself into positions here to try to gain a lot of those spots. And unfortunately, the laps count down. Their opportunities running thin here as we're over halfway through this race, and a little less than 45 laps left to go here in this one, something like that. 45 laps, 35 laps left in this race. So there's not a lot of laps left here, ladies and gentlemen, until we throw that caution or that checkered flag here on the evening. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be able to make the moves, who's going to be able to put themselves into a position to put themselves back through the traffic and back into a position to potentially have themselves a good day here at the Speedways. We'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back. The green flag racing is our first restart here in our final stage of this race. It's Anthony Garland out in front. Garland getting ready to go to battle here in this one, as right there, it is outside. That is Colton Manich. Manich ready to rock and roll here, as well as Manich and Garland door to door down across the start-finish line. The double zero ride gonna get a good jump there on the outside lane, fired at the same time as the 81. Gets a good restart and stays door to door with him. Now trying to get some help here from the 23 ride of Austin Smith. The Smith trying to get lumped into his back bumper, but down low, they're starting to get formed a little bit better, and they're starting to make some moves here. And so things are getting tight there on that outside groove as the 70 ride of Mike Killenbeck came up just over the nose there of that double zero, and same with Anthony Garland right there as well, just barely getting a piece of him. And unfortunately, everyone able to keep on rocking and rolling. Just no one's going to go very far right there. No one's going to find a lane, and that's going to make things that much more difficult for some of these drivers a little deeper in the field. That inside lane kind of getting stalled out like that, as here comes the inside lane trying to bounce back as the 8 right of Lance Brantlinger right here. He's trying to get rolling as he's right there in position number 3 on the Speedway down the inside lane. A great run and great drive so far for Brantlinger. You see Caleb McKinney right there as well as David Durand Jr. Now, we talked about Durand and how he was tied up in an early race incident here. Our first caution flag of the day saw him in the 19, and I do believe another driver getting tied up into the outside fence. I believe Kelly Beck got a piece of that one, and Chris Muse also getting some damage there as well. And 51 ride able to rebound, get himself back onto the lead lap, get this 51 ride repaired, and now up inside the top 3 and sitting pretty out here on the Speedway. But he's used up that quick repair, and unfortunately not having that in your back pocket. If he gets tied up in another big wreck, he could be done for the day. You're in that 51 ride, that's got to be playing in the back of his mind. And right there behind him, stage 1 winner, 13 ride of James Garland. Garland doing a great job here in position number 4 and looking for more. Anthony Garland, though, to the outside, getting a great run. He's going to try to get to the outside of the 51 ride. Couldn't quite pull the trigger on it. He's going to fall back in line here behind David Durand Jr. David definitely had to be feeling the pressure right there on that one as the 81. He was outside. Looked like there may have been contact to his right rear quarter panel, and that could spin you up into the outside fence in a quick hurry. Is now David Durand Jr. looking to go for the race lead as Lance Brantlinger trying to get this shove from the 81 ride out in front here, but it's the 51 that's been making some moves here. But now looks like he's going to get left high and dry. Caleb McKinney going to move him into the middle here, and that's going to move that 51 ride backwards here. No push and help around him, and he's kind of stuck right there in that middle groove, and we'll have to wait and see if anyone tries to help him out here. They're 3-4 wide down through quarters number 1 and 2 on the Speedway. Killenbeck right there. He's stuck in the middle of it. The 51 of David Durand Jr. definitely did not want to be right there in the middle of that fight, and unfortunately he slides all the way back to about the 14th position as of right now, and continuing to slide backwards here as he's still stuck in the middle. No one really around him to help him out, to straighten him out. He may find a hole right there. Nope, doesn't find it as the 28 of Kevin Kazar will fill that outside lane here. Now he'll fall down low into the inside group here with Johnny Thunders, and unfortunately for David Duran Jr., that puts him all the way back now into the 19th spot on the Speedway. A little farther back, you see James Woodard, Cameron Combs, Al Reed, the number 6, Robert Tuiscu, Kurt Sponsler back there, as well as Adolfo Castillo. They're all back onto the lead lap, and same with the 0-2 of Chad Lancaster here. So 26 drivers still on the lead lap here in this one. Brandon Puffenbarger out there on the Speedway. He's the first driver a lap down on the Speedway, so he's hoping for a caution flag and an opportunity to get back onto the lead lap. And then Dom Slavo, unfortunately here, finds himself still down pit side and not rolling back it onto the racetrack, and now he is multiple laps down here. So a very tough break there for the number 19 rider Salvo. Down a lot of laps now here on the racetrack, and I don't think there's going to be enough time for him to even get those laps back and put himself into position here this afternoon. But it's Caleb McKinney out in front. Caleb McKinney leads the way. Joshua Neal down there up here at the front of the field, as here comes a couple of those Midwest Motorsports grinds working their way again to the front of the field, looking strong here this afternoon. That's Austin Smith, Corey Crowell, and the number 20 ride there. Corey Crowell, Austin Smith, Joshua Neal, part of the Midwest Motorsports crew, and they're rolling that inside lane. 1, 2, and 3 down low here, and then see that number 76 of Caleb McKinney, the 70 of Mike Killingbeck, Lance Brantley are right there ready to pounce, as well as the 00 of Colton Manich and Anthony Garland. Chris Muse there in 9th, and David Duran Jr., who's worked himself now back inside the top 10. So David continues to, he fell back there quite a ways, but now battling himself right back into contention here this afternoon as more things kind of broken up. And see drivers making their way down pit side here. So green flag pit stops already for a few of these drivers, a few of these competitors making their way down pit road. That's Chad Lancaster, Adolfo Castillo, Cameron Combs, Al Reed down pit side here in the 3 machine. Robert Tuiscu also down pit side. Kurt Sponsler down pit road. So a bunch of these drivers playing some different strategy and making their way down pit lane here. It's definitely an odd call for making this pit stop, but nonetheless, they're going to come down pit road early, and it's going to make things very, very interesting here for these guys to know that they're, already making green flag pit stops. And now I don't know if that's going to help them or hurt them here in this one, if they can make it to the end of this race without having to come down pit side one more time, and the rest of the field having to make their way down pit lane. Maybe that'll help them out in the long run. I'm not sure here, but nonetheless, they are deeper in the field now. All together, though, they're all kind of stuck together for the most part. And see Cameron Combs out in front of these guys by a little bit. Then Al Reed. And you see that 6th ride of Robert Tuiscu, Chad Lancaster, Kurt Sponsler, Adolfo Castillo, Brandon Puffenbarger, all the way back here with the Woodards here. And right now, these drivers that are kind of back in the 21st, 22nd, all the way back to the 26th position. But you do see Robert Tuiscu having to come back down pit lane. Oh no, a pit road penalty here for the 6th ride of Robert Tuiscu, and that is going to put Robert a lap down here on the racetrack. So that's a tough break there for Mr. Tuiscu, as he is going to go a lap down. And unfortunately, the rest of these drivers that made their way for those green flag pit stops, they got to get tight together here in a quick hurry. Need 15 and the 3 kind of separated there. Then you see the 3-car pack right there behind them trying to catch up to these guys, trying to make this at least a 5-car pack where they can work together and try to keep themselves on the lead lap. Is not too far back there. It's our race leaders. You can see them just coming into the picture frame here. They're about half a straightaway, not even half a corner away from catching up to these guys. So they got to really work together here and start to lay down some quick lap times, because they are catching them, and they're catching them in a quick hurry. That lead pack would love to try to put all those drivers a lap down, try to lock them back there, and unfortunately put them into a tough spot here onto the Speedway, as things once again a little broken up here in this final stage. We saw early in this race, stage 1, stage 2, everyone kind of staying right tight together. 2 wide, 3 wide battling out there on the racetrack. Now we're seeing a little bit more single file, a little bit of double file here once in a while, but A couple different drivers on some different strategy calls, see some different moves out here on the Speedway, and that's really broken this field up and made it a little bit of a different style of a race here this afternoon. And what we saw early on is out in front, it is Joshua Neal who continues to lead the way. That's Austin Smith right there on his back bumper. David Duran Jr., James Garland, and Colton Manich are top 5 here on the Speedway with Anthony Garland, Mike Killingbeck, Lance Brantlinger, Kevin Kazar, and Gary Wright now rounding out our top 10 here in the 16 ride. Casey Gross there in 11th with Caleb McKinney there in 12th. Johnny Thunder's back in the 13th spot with Billy Jordan there in 14th, and Josh Bromfield rounding out our top 15. And we see Chris Muse and Corey Crowell, our top 17, all part of that initial lead group out there on the Speedway. Then about 8 seconds back, we see Brian Woodard here in that 62 ride. James Woodard right there with them in the multiple lap down number 5 rider Brandon Puffenberger there with them as well. And then we see Wayne Garland back here in 20th. He's even farther back. Unfortunately, he's lost that draft and has nowhere for him to go. Same with Chad Lancaster. And third sponsor, there's Adolfo Castillo and the number 3 of our Cameron Combs. So those 5 drivers finally all getting lined up together and working together here. Now they would have had one more driver in Robert Tuiscu, but Tuiscu unfortunately had to make that extra stop down pit side. But these drivers try to keep themselves on the lead lap as our lead pack not too far back there behind them here, and they're trying to catch up in a quick hurry as they reel into the number 49, the number 02, the 31, the 3, and the 15. So they're right there. They're staying pace, though. They're actually gaining a little bit of speed on that lead pack, which is quite surprising considering that's a 5-car pack in front of about a 17-car pack here on the Speedway. But see if that strategy can play out for them here in this one. It's going to be very, very interesting to see whether or not it'll play out perfectly or if it'll hurt them here in the long run of this race. As we inch closer and closer to the end of this feature event. Only 24 more laps left to go here in this one. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button, and make sure you guys jump into the comment section right now. Let us know who you're cheering for, who you want to see pick up the checkered flag this afternoon, who do you guys want to see get the win here this evening. As there's a lot of drivers looking to try to get this win, a lot of drivers that are trying to work their way through the field and trying to get as many points as possible to try to help work themselves into that round of 12 here for our playoffs and having a good run here at Talladega Superspeedway, a race that's really a wild card race for a lot of these drivers, a lot of these competitors. You never know when that big one is going to happen out here on the Speedway. So keep yourself clean, keep yourself out of trouble, potentially work yourself into what could be a big day here on the Speedway and a big points move out there on the track, especially if you're in those stage points. Get a good finish. You can put yourself a good gap in front of that cutoff line here this afternoon for our playoffs. Is door to door once again here in front of the field. As here comes Colton Manich looking to try to jump up here and take that race lead away. Manich now into position number 1. Is Mike Killingbeck all over his back bumper, pushing him there to the front of the field. So the Williamsburg Contracting rides kind of hooked up there on the outside lane. It's Kevin Kazar right there with him. As Kazar going to move up into position number 30 here on the Speedway. So Kazar making his moves. Here comes Casey Gross right back into the thick of things as well, as Casey making a good run here towards the end of this one. Great racing for that number 28 machine in the 77, having themselves a day. Anthony Garland there as well. Joshua Neal sliding all the way back to 6 here on the Speedway. Then we see Johnny Thunders, David Duran Jr., Austin Smith, James Garland, our top 10 here on the Speedway as we inch closer and closer to the end of this race. I believe we've lost a driver out of this lead pack, as I do believe the 20 rider, Corey Crowell, has fallen quite a ways back here. Staying with the 99 ride of Chris Muse. So Chris Muse and Corey Crowell both a little farther back here as well. They're now about 11 seconds, 12 seconds back behind our lead pack here on the racetrack, as it's only a 15-car pack here at the front of the field. And We'll be seeing some green flag pit stops come up here very, very quickly for this lead pack as see all these other drivers that are a little farther in front of them here. They are trying to stay on the lead lap, trying to keep all these other drivers back there behind them and going to stay out in front of this lead pack here as we'll wait and see if we see some drivers this time make their way down pit side. Doesn't look like it. Looks like they're all going to stay out here for another lap on the speedway as we inch closer and closer to the checkered flag here this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank y'all for watching it, for tuning in and watching this afternoon's race as the Outcast Racing League Playoff Race number 1 underway here from Talladega Superspeedway. The Outcast Racing League powered by Williamsburg Contracting, Shenco Custom Diecasts, N Sea NSB, and the RT3 Designs LLC. Here this year, we can't thank our sponsors enough here again this year for being on board with us and making everything possible here at the Outcast Racing League as the action slowly but surely coming to a close here at Talladega Superspeedway with only 20 more laps left to go. 19 this time by the start finish line, and we'll jump into a quick PeaceMaker Gaming crank it up to finish off this this race here as we're going to quickly crank it up. We'll be back here in a couple of laps and we'll get ready for the end of this feature event. the laps are winding down, this is the battle at the front of the field here. Unfortunately for the number 15 ride, he is trying to stay on the lead lap still. So that is Cameron Combs that's in the front of this pack, but he is unfortunately trying to stay on the lead lap right now. He is the last car on the lead lap, but right there behind him is our race leaders. They are 3 by 3. Our top 9, they're on the racetrack, all in contention a little farther back. You see the number 49 rider, Kurt Sponsler, leading this secondary back here. Really scored in that 10th position and beyond, and they're trying to hunt down that top 9. But man, oh man, look at this battle at the front of the field, and currently leading the way is this 76 rider, Caleb McKinney, and the 00 rider, Colton Manish right there, and the 82 machine of Joshua Neal, kind of all 3 wide, as you do see the 00 and the 70 ride starting to pull ahead there in that outside lane. Kevin Kazar right there as well in contention here in this one. You'll see David Duran Jr., you see Anthony Garland, Lance Brantlinger, Austin Smith, all part of this top 9 battle here at the front of the field. It's a 10-car pack battling here at the front, but it is only 9 drivers that are inside our top 9 on the speedway in this battle right here. After those green flag pit stops really busted things open, really made things more interesting here on where these drivers need to go, where they need to be, and how they need to try to work themselves into a position to potentially, oh, there's some contact though. Kevin Kazar and Lance Brantlinger up into the outside fence. No caution flag here on the racetrack. Heavy right front contact here for Kevin Kazar. As let's take a look back and see what happens here as some contact. I'm not sure if Kazar just gets into the 70 right a little too much here, or if there was some more contact here between them, but right here you see Kazar. Oh, he gets a big piece of the 70 right of Killingback. I think it's Killingback bent to the shape, collects the 8 right of Lance Brantlinger. A little bit of right front damage there for Brantlinger, but not too much, but a total loss of momentum. But the 28 getting into that outside fence, heavy damage there for Kevin Kazar, and his opportunity here to potentially win this race or put himself into a position to win this race is now kind of gone out the window as he's down pit side, and unfortunately we're still under the green flag here in this one. So a tough break right there for the 28 rider, Kevin Kazar, and all the Kazar fans in attendance here this afternoon. Your driver now down pit side, not the spot you want to see him, as we do see Joshua Neal out in front leading the way, this time by the start finish line. He will click off another lap, so we only see 9 more laps left to go here in this race. 9 more laps for the number 82 ride to potentially pick up what could be a massive win this afternoon, as Joshua Neal out in front of the pack, showing the way here. David Duran Jr. right there in second. And you see the 81 rider, Anthony Garland. He's right there in position to make some moves here, as well as he's looking to try to put himself into what could be a winning move here this evening. Austin Smith, Caleb McKinney right there, as well as the 00 Colton Manish. Johnny Thunder's back there in the 7th spot now. He's quite a few seconds back here. He's leading that little bit of a second lane here, a little bit of a second battle, as Caleb McKinney there in 6th. We have lost Lance Brantlinger all the way back to the 12th spot on the speedway with his damage in that contact, and then obviously seeing the number 28 go down pit side here. So some tough hits here late in the race for some of those drivers battling at the front of the field, where we saw 9 of them duking it out. Now we only have about 6 or 7 of them here battling in this one, as we do see the 31 right of Adolfo Castillo. He's about to go a lap down here, another lap down for the 31, as our race leaders are going to roll around him here. The 15 right of Cameron Combs still leading this main pack, but he's still trying to keep himself on the lead lap. But look at the run for the 23. Look out, Austin Smith making the move there, 3-4 wide down the front straightaway here at Talladega Superspeedway. And it's the 23 of Austin Smith who's going to find a hole, and he is going to push himself right on through it and into our race lead late in this one. So the 23 now to the point, but we see a late race caution flag. A late race caution flag here in this one, and that's not what these lead drivers wanted to see, as that caution flag is going to bring the rest of the field right back to their rear bumper. Joshua Neal, Austin Smith, Colton Manish, 1, 2, and 3 here on the speedway. We'll see that caution flag fly. Let's take a look back and see what happens. It looks like maybe David Duran Jr., one of those drivers battling up here inside the top 6. We get collected here in this one right there. Anthony Garland gets a piece of the number 31 of Adolfo Castillo. We saw Castillo getting past here down the front straightaway. He was definitely a lot slower, and you see the 81 kind of working to his back bumper, trying to get him moving here. Unfortunately, just going to get a piece of him right there coming out of the tri-oval. Unfortunately, sends the 31 up the racetrack. T-bones the 51 machine of David Duran Jr. Then Caleb McKinney going to try to avoid the 51. Comes down over the nose there of Anthony Garland. Now, I'm not sure if they end up with some heavy damage here or not as they both slide down into the infield. Anthony looks like he's able to keep that car for the most part out of trouble. The 76 still going for a loop-de-loop right there, but able to get that car pointed back in the right direction. Now, I'm not sure how much damage the 51 ride is going to have here for David Duran Jr., as that was a pretty good hit to his rear end right there, and hopefully no broken toe links or anything else there for David Duran Jr., but nonetheless, we will get everyone stacked up and back together here on the racetrack, and that's going to inch us closer and closer to our checkered flag, as I do believe we're going to get a very short run to the finish here, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be about a 3 to 4 lap shootout here with the Outcast Racing League, as these drivers are going to battle for who can pick up the first win of our playoffs here this afternoon. Now, this is going to make things very, very interesting. This is going to make things very wild out there on the Speedway, and where everyone can try to make some moves and put themselves either back on the lead lap or back into contention here this afternoon. And I do believe we're going to see at least 21 drivers still on the lead lap right there, as unfortunately Lancaster and the 31 of Adolfo Castillo, Puffenbarger, Tuiscu, Garland, Kazar, and Salvo all still down and out of this race, either a lap down or multiple laps down, or out of the race altogether. So a tough break for some of those drivers, especially some of our playoff contenders here this afternoon, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and ready to go back to green flag racing. You see Lancaster get that free pass, and he will work himself back onto the lead lap. So a good break there for the N Sea NSB 02 ride. Is we're getting ready to rock and roll. We'll get ready to go back to green flag racing here in just a few more moments. ready, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the moment you've been waiting for. What could be the final restart here of the afternoon with the Outcast Racing League as these drivers get ready to be released here to our front row, as out in front, the 82 ride of Joshua Neal looking very good here this afternoon. Austin Smith right there to his outside in position number 2, ready to get this show back underway with what will be a 3-lap shootout here to the end. So this is going to be a very short run, but we may see another caution flag here. Can never count out what could be the big one here this afternoon. Late in this race, still about 26 drivers out there on the speedway, rolling out there on the racetrack. Now I do have about 22 drivers still on the lead lap here this afternoon, all the way back to James Garland in that 22nd spot on the speedway. As Joshua Neal, our race leader, going to get ready down here through the Geico restart zone, getting ready to unleash this field here once again. As there you go, down through the Geico restart zone, Joshua Neal gets the restart that he was hoping for, as the 00 ride of Colton Manich right there to his back bumper, but it's a pair of Midwest Motorsports rides here at the front of the field now. Does the 23 find a hole right here? Does the 82 ride let him slide down in front of him this late in the race? I don't know. There's no friendship out there on the speedway anymore. It's everybody for themselves late in this one, and look who's finally made their way to the front of the field. It's the Reese's Pieces number 62 ride. That is Brian Woodard. Woodard has been deep in the field here all evening long, but now making his way to the top 5, and here he is ready to make his move, trying to put himself into a winning position here this afternoon. Al Reed right there with him in that 5th spot, has his teammate back there behind him in the 15. That's Cameron Gomes into that 6th position. Is nice and easy down through the tri-oval, little single file still at the front of the field. That's Lance Brantlinger in the 8 ride, trying to get the outside groove rolling here with David Duran Jr. right there with him, is down across the line. They click off another lap, and we see only 2 more laps left to go here in this one. Now, do we see a caution flag fly before we see that white flag? If the white flag is displayed, the next flag will end it no matter what. So these drivers, they want to see that white flag fly. They do not want to go to NASCAR overtime here this afternoon, but anything can happen in a heartbeat here on the speedway. Is down into corner number 3. See Colton Manich way up there on the outside lane as they are 3 wide here at the front of the field. Joshua Neal down low on the bottom side is going to get the push that he was looking for. Joshua Neal out in front, 3 wide back there behind him. Everyone shuffling around. It's a drag race down through the tri-oval and in to our final lap we go. The white flag has been displayed as Colton Manich will lead that lap. So Colton Manich out in front, getting shoved here by the 23 of Austin Smith. They're going to choose to stay to the outside, as here comes that 029 James Woodard right there in the middle, as they are 3 by 3 by 3 throughout the field, but out in front it's Colton Manich trying to hold him off. As contact around goes that 029 ride, and more contact. James Neal collected the big one down the back straightaway. Casey Gross in there, the 3 of Al Reed, Anthony Garland, all tied up, but we still got a race left here in this one. It's down out of corner number 4. It's Lance Brantlinger who's going to try to lead us down the tri-oval. Contact, though. Here comes David Duran Jr. He's going to make contact with Josh Bromfield. Up on the high side, it's the 00, but door to door, down across the line, it's Colton Manich, able to pick up the checkered flag here this afternoon from Talladega Superspeedway. A thrilling finish here to this one is our first playoff race underway here this evening, and our first playoff race gonna come to a close, and it's our playoff driver Colton Manich who's able to get the win and advance his way into the round of 12 here in our first race of the Outcast Racing League playoffs. Is the Williamsburg Contracting Shenco Custom Diecast, the Christmas themed ride, gonna find his way into victory lane with Austin Smith in position number 2. Lance Brantlinger going to come home in 3rd with David Duran Jr., Caleb McKinney, our top 5. James Garland going to come home in 6th with Mike Killingbeck, Brian Woodard, and then we see Chris Muse and Kurt Sponsler rounding out our top 10 as the Todd Cooper Landscaping number 49 ride going to round out our top 10. But we'll take a look back here before we pull our top 3 into the broadcast booth for their post-race interviews. Let's take a look back at all the action down the back straightaway here on our final lap lap as it starts with the number 029 ride right here. The 029. Oh, man, it's a tough break for James Woodard as right here he's going to get a little contact as 3 wide right there behind him. The 49 rider Kurt Sponsler trying to get in there tight, and unfortunately both Woodards going to get collected. They finally work their way up in towards the front of the field here. Unfortunately, they're going to meet together here as the 029 gets spun around there by the 49 right. Nowhere to go for the 62 as James Woodard coming together there with the number 62 ride of the other Woodard. I do believe that is James Woodard, and where's the other Woodard here? That is Brian Woodard in the 62 who makes contact there. But then farther down here, we see more drivers getting collected, and it starts with the 82 ride here. Watch this 82 machine. He's in front of that initial contact here, and Joshua Neal, who we saw leading quite a bit of laps here in this race now. Everyone kind of squirrely pushing as hard as they can down the back straightaway, trying to get every run, every inch, and unfortunately just kind of moving down a little bit. The 12 right still on his back bumper. He's just going to push right there in the wrong spot on the back quarter panel of the 82, sends him up the racetrack over the nose of the 02 of Lancaster. Here comes that 81 of Anthony Garland, nowhere to go. The 20 ride of Corey Crowell, Al Reed. You see Kurt Sponsler in there. The 15 ride of Cameron Combs gets collected in it, and then from that point on, it's on like Donkey Kong. Everyone just trying to find their way around. You see the 15 ride upside down there in corner number 3. That's a scary ride there for Cameron Combs as him and Adolfo Castillo get together. The 16 of Gary Wright gets in there hard into the 31 ride. See everyone else basically getting tore up in this one as the big one down the back straightaway here on our final lap. And now let's take a look here and see if we can get a ride on board here with that number 15 machine of Cameron Combs as he goes for an absolutely wild ride down here in 3. As for number 3, things kind of break open and things get a little crazy, and unfortunately a lot of drivers getting tied up in that one. A lot of drivers unfortunately tore up, and he was upside down, goes for a wild ride down there, and luckily enough gets that car rolling once again. We also see the 20 ride of Courtney Crowell go upside down and go for a crazy flip right there as well. Corey Crowell, one of the first drivers actually tied up in this wreck. Let's see if we can get a look here at Corey Crowell and his perspective here, as he's going to go for a wild ride as well. So he's on the outside, almost a little contact right there between him and the 31. He's able to just barely avoid that contact right there between the Woodards and the 49 of Sponsler. Unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time here in this one, and gets into the back end of a couple drivers and more contact down through the grass here, slides up the speedway, then gets tagged by the 49 of Sponsler, goes upside down here. Another big hit, another big flip here for one of our competitors, and look at that car. Woo, baby, catches that grass and goes for a wild ride there on the bottom side of corner number 3. That is a scary, scary ride right there. Let's see if we can jump right on board here with this number 20 and see what he can see from his perspective here as Corey Crowell just nowhere to go, and that's Talladega for you. Unfortunately, trying to keep this car going, comes back at the racetrack, gets tagged, and then goes for a wild ride. Woo! Woo! Oh, man, that's a tough break right there for Corey Crowell. Tough break for a lot of our drivers here this afternoon, but it is Colton Manich who picks up the win. He's going to burn down the house. He actually blows the motor out of this one. See the black smoke starting to roll out of it after doing so much of a burnout here in that Williamsburg Contracting Shenco Custom Diecast 00 ride that he unfortunately has some pretty good heavy smoke rolling out underneath of that ride, and you don't want to ruin a good car here late in one of these races. As we're going to get ready to pull him up here into the broadcast booth for his post-race interviews. Man, what a run, what a drive, what a finish here by all these amazing drivers. Let's get ready to pull this number 00 ride up into the booth. Hey, Colton, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth. They get a copy?
Yeah, man, I got you.
Colton, man, what a run, what a race. Take us back through this one, man, as that was a hell of a finish, hell of a wild ride there in those closing laps, but somehow or another you're able to find your way back to the front of the field, and you're able to hold them all off there on that final lap to put this 00 ride up into the Talladega Superspeedway victory lane.
Man, I don't even know how to explain the first 2 stages, really. It's all kind of a blur because so much happened through that race. Yeah, teammates, we were working really well together. I know Dom got taken out early, and then Mike and Kevin had some issues, and we were working well there with, I don't know, like 10, 12 to go. And they got together, and then we got that late caution. And then once that late caution came, I said to my guys, I was like, look, I've got teammates in first and second, teammates in fourth and fifth, and here I am in third. I said, it's going to be tough. But I worked pretty well through a portion of the race with Midwest guys, with Austin and Corey in particular. And, when I saw I was restarting behind Josh, I was like, man, this is a good opportunity right here for me to push him out. And then fortunately, somebody I think missed a shift. I think it was Anthony missed a shift there on the restart. And then once he did, it kind of benefited me there a little bit. And I saw Austin come in with a head of steam and jumped up in front of him. And if it wasn't for him, I'm not winning this race because he gave me a hell of a push the whole last 2 laps. And I told him post race high home dinner or something because I would not have won that race if it wasn't for him. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a huge play there by the 23 Ryan, able to get glued to your back bumper and put you up there in that third lane and out in front. We saw you able to just edge out there and lead that white flag lap, and then all hell kind of broke loose there down the back straightaway. I don't know if you saw what was happening there on your rearview mirror, but the big one happened down the back stretch, and that took out a lot of your competition. There was only about 5 or 6 of you still left rolling down towards the tri-oval. A couple more drivers got tied together, and all of a sudden it was about a 3-4 car race there, and Austin Smith tried to make the move to get around you. Unfortunately could not find the run there to make the move to your outside, as you were able to just power down and pick up a big win here in the first playoff race of the season. Now I'm pretty positive you win and you're into the next round here, so how does it feel knowing that you're able to come into Talladega and pull off a win and advance yourself already into our round of 12 here in the Outcast Racing League?
Oh man, no, I knew that there was a wreck, but I didn't realize it was all that crazy. I was looking out of my mirror more than that last 2 laps than I think I have all season long and all the races combined. But no, it's to get the win at Talladega is huge. Like I said, I was telling the guys, like, I can usually get through the first 2 stages well, and I can usually end up on my lid or wrecked or something at the end of these things. I can never finish them off. So to kind of flip flop that today was cool. I was just patient, learning what I needed to do here towards the end. And like I said, if it wasn't for Austin, I wouldn't be right here. It'd probably be him. So huge appreciation and thanks to him for racing me clean and giving me those pushes that I needed to.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great pushes, some great patience out there on the Speedway. Congratulations here, Colton, being able to pick up that first win here at the Outcast Racing League playoffs. And a beautiful Christmas paint scheme here. We see Santa Claus and the Grinch on there. That car looking very, very nice out there on the Speedway and looking even better up here in Victory Lane. Colton, who would you like to thank for such a great run and strong performance here this afternoon?
Yeah, so first and foremost, Williamsburg Contracting for all the support, not only to me, but for the league, Shenco Custom Diecast, all of our supporters, and then everybody who takes part in this league, from the competition week in and week out, the admin and doing their jobs that they do, and then you for the amazing broadcast. Can't wait to go back and watch this one. I can only imagine the excitement that we are going to hear on the broadcast. So just everybody that's plays a part in that, and then obviously my family for giving me the opportunity and time to do this stuff because it takes up a lot of time on a Sunday, but it's a lot of fun, and they look forward to seeing it, and they allow me to do it. So like I said, all those partners and everybody who makes this thing go around, appreciate every one of you.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Colton, great run, great race. Congratulations on picking up the win here this afternoon. We can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack next Sunday.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for our race winner, Colton Manich. Is Manich able to pick up the win here in this one, man? What a run, what a drive right there for Mr. Manich here this afternoon. Joshua Neal says, I tried, no love at the end. Unfortunately, yeah, brother, no love there at the end. Kyle says, awesome, that was awesome. Great run, great finish there. Crazy, crazy finish to this one. But we're going to get ready to jump in here with our second place finisher, Austin Smith. Smith coming home here in position number 2. We'll pull him up into the broadcast booth and see what he's got to say about the finish of this race. Hey Austin, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth. They get a copy?
I got you, Aaron.
Austin, man, another solid run, another solid race here, but you come up one spot shy of victory lane here this evening, but you're able to help that 0-0 ride to the win here in this one, man. Take us through those final laps and what was going through your mind here, throughout the race and throughout those final laps as you were battling and trying to work yourself to the front of the field.
Yeah, congrats to Colton. He deserved it. He's always racing me clean. Always a good competitor. So once I got locked up with him, I was just gonna push him to the front there. Kind of the whole race, it was a bummer. Midwest Motorsports, we're trying to support Brandon and try to get him up there and get him a good finish, but he got caught in some trouble. So most of the race just trying to stay clean. Knew I could be there at the end and help somebody who's in the playoffs out. It's a bummer I had to miss last week for work, so kind of bumped me out of the playoffs, but it is what it is. Congrats to Colton and solid finish.
Yeah, very solid finish, very solid way to get the playoffs started here for yourself as you were able to work yourself into, the playoffs and now having this good run at Talladega, which is such a wild card race, and being able to make it that interesting there at the end and being able to come home with a solid finish. It's going to feel pretty dang good knowing that you were able to get those points and try to work in yourself into that next round here of the playoffs.
Yeah, well, actually, like I said, I missed work, or I had to miss last week for work, so it knocked me out of the playoffs. So just trying to help everybody who's in the playoffs out, and just trying to stay out of their way. But yeah, kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. We'll see what we can do next week.
Yeah, that's a tough break right there. As didn't realize that. I thought you were in the playoffs, man. After having some good wins, some good races here this year, I figured you'd be in solidly on points and everything, but. That's a tough break, man, but I know you're going to be a threat each and every single one of these weeks, and helping your friends and your teammates try to find their way into victory lane and into that championship 8, but it's going to be tough not seeing you in there battling for the championship here this year, Austin, but man, a great run, a great finish here for yourself, man. Who would you like to thank for such a great performance here this afternoon?
Yeah, I just need to thank the guys for putting the league on. Midwest Motorsports are always working together. Just need to thank you for putting the broadcast on as well. I know a lot of my family is tuning in and watching, so shout out to them. And shout out to all the admins that put everything on and make this possible, and everybody showing up to race.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Austin, we look forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack next Sunday, and hopefully we'll see you right back up here in the broadcast booth and maybe up in victory lane once again here on the season.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for Austin Smith. As Austin coming home there in that second spot. Now, that's a surprise. I didn't realize that Austin was not part of our playoffs here this year, so that's a very big surprise to me. This 23 run has always shown a lot of good speed, and obviously missing last week's race knocked him out of the playoffs, so that's a huge heartbreaker there for Austin Smith and all the Smith fans here this afternoon, as I thought that Austin was definitely in the playoffs here this year, but I guess not. I guess it came down right to the wire and unfortunately moves the 23 ride out of a playoff position. But we do know that last week we saw Lance Brantlinger work his way into the playoffs here, so let's get ready to pull Lance Brantlinger up for his third place run here this afternoon. Hey Lance, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker Broadcasting booth. They get a copy?
I got your copy.
Lance, brother, you're making a trend of this, man. Another trip up here into the broadcast booth post-race. Now, obviously a couple spots shy where you really want to be. That's up in victory lane. But anytime you can come home with a fairly clean car and being able to stay pointed in the right direction here late in this race at Talladega Superspeedway is kind of a win in its own, as you're able to come home in a third spot run and save that car and be able to pick up some very valuable points here in our first playoff race of the season.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't deserve third for the end of that race there. I made a bold move trying to get in front of the outside when they're coming, and I just made I just blew it completely, and ended up being like a ping pong ball in the middle there. I got into David a little bit, and then it pushed me up into 23, and then I came back down, and I guess Broomfield got taken out with that, which I feel awful about. But in the beginning, I apologize to Brandon. I got hooked there. I got hooked him by accident going into the one turn. So, I mean, I'll take the third, but still I don't feel good about the whole situation, if you know what I mean. But I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Oh, you kind of broke up right there, Lance. But yeah, unfortunate contact there late in the race for you, and unfortunately some tough hits along the way throughout this race. I'm sure there's a lot of drivers that are either scratching their heads trying to figure out how they still finished inside the top 10 or had a good run here this afternoon, and there's probably a lot of drivers that are upset with how things went there. But unfortunately, that's just super speedway racing. That's what Talladega presents, as a lot of drivers just get tied up and tore up late in this race with no issues of their own, just kind of trying to stay out of trouble, and all of a sudden you got 34 cars parked right there in front of you, and not a whole lot you can do it there on the speedway. But you're able to keep that wheel pointed in the right direction, Lance, and you're able to pull it up here into another podium run, another solid points day for that 8 machine. Lance, who would you like to thank for a great run and great performance still out there on the speedway with your 3rd place run here at Talladega?
I'd just like to thank the sponsors again. Of course, my teammates. We worked well together tonight. Unfortunately, it just didn't end up with a great finish. Actually, no, wait. I think we got 2 top 10s. But coming out of pits, the last pit stop, I can't. Garland got left behind and we couldn't let up. But yeah, I just want to thank you, of course, as I always do, for the great broadcasting. But I was saying before we go, in the middle of the race, did you see that move that I made coming from 10th to about 2nd? Did you see that?
I'm sure I did. That was so long ago, though, it's already out of my mind. But, yeah, man.
I was holding on for dear life, man. I was holding on for dear life. But thank you again, Aaron. I appreciate it. And, yeah, I'll take a 3rd. I'm happy.
Absolutely, brother. Still a great run, a solid day here at the Speedway, Lance, and we can't wait to see you back in action next Sunday, and hopefully see you right back up here in the broadcast booth as you gotten that bad luck out of your, off your back here, and now you're starting to string together some solid top 3 runs and some wins here in the series, and we can't wait to see how the rest of the playoffs go for you and your opportunity to try to strike and win back-to-back championships.
Thank you, Aaron. Hey, take care. Have a good night.
Absolutely, you as well, brother. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for Lance Brantlinger as Lance comes home in position number 3. A solid run and a solid drive right there for that number 8 ride as he comes home in that 3rd and final podium spot here this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Absolutely amazing race. Absolutely amazing run. Right from the drop of the green flag right down to the checkered flag, man. These guys put on a heck of a race, heck of a show for us, man. A lot of battling, a lot of back and forth, a lot of different strategy. Even though it's a super speedway, we saw some different pitch strategies kind of going there. We saw a bunch of different moves, and then obviously we saw a couple of the big ones here this afternoon where a lot of drivers got tore up and taken out of this race, especially there on that final lap, and a lot of drivers that were looking and bound to have some good finishes here this evening unfortunately end up deeper in the field, and unfortunately not the spot they want to be here at the end of the day. So there's going to be a lot of upset drivers. There's going to be a lot of drivers that are pretty happy with being able to dodge some of those bullets late in this one and able to work themselves into a solid performance here this evening. But unfortunately, a lot of drivers having some tough luck there late in the race. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in, and I will see you guys all back here in about 2 hours or so from now, as we'll be back live with the Q West League, as they will be back to battle here this afternoon for our 358 modified, or actually our big block modified series, back in action here again tonight from the dirt track, as we'll be back in action, back up here in the broadcast booth, and look to put on another amazing show for each and every one of you. So hopefully I'll see you guys in there and back in here for the fun. But thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace out for now, baby. Peace out for now, ladies and gentlemen.
In the digital world he shines bright, full send all day and all night, conquering realms with all his might. Peacemaker's here to make it right. Through the controllers battles begun, every click, every move he's won, streaming wisdom under the sun. Victory's anthem just has begun. Peacemaker gaming all day, send it full, don't sway. In the virtual lands we play, leading the charge in our own way. Pixels and wires, his domain, glory found in every campaign.